On April 4, 2024, the state of Oklahoma carried out an execution. The individual executed was Michael Dewayne Smith. He had been convicted of 2 murders in Oklahoma. The method used was lethal injection. Smith was 41 years old at the time of his execution. This marked the 12th execution conducted by Oklahoma since the state resumed capital punishment. Oklahoma had resumed executions in 2021. This followed a significant hiatus of nearly 7 years. The pause was instituted due to serious issues with the execution process. One such issue occurred in 2014. A prisoner reportedly writhed in pain for 43 minutes before dying. Another incident in 2015 involved a prisoner who reported feeling like acid and that his body is on fire. These events led to a moratorium on executions while the state reviewed its protocols. The resumption in 2021 signaled the state's decision to move forward with capital punishment again. Michael Dewayne Smith's execution continued this recent series. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Michael Dewayne Smith was born on June 24, 1982 in Oklahoma. He experienced a troubled upbringing in a neighborhood marked by crime. From a young age, he was exposed to gang violence and drug abuse. His parents separated when he was young at the age of 2. Smith also experienced childhood trauma, including sexual abuse when he was around 7 or 8 years old. He performed poorly in school. The influence of his brothers reportedly led him into drug abuse. They also introduced him to gang life. By the year 2000, he was a member of the Oak Grove Posse gang. He was also known by the moniker Hoover Killer. By 2002, Michael Dewayne Smith was on the wanted list for 5 felony cases. These charges included shooting with intent to kill and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. He also faced charges for assault and battery on a police officer. Further charges included attempting to elude police, drunken driving, and driving with a revoked license. His criminal activities escalated significantly. On November 24, 2001, Smith was involved in the shooting death of Otis Payne Jr. This incident occurred outside a nightclub in Oklahoma City. Smith and an accomplice, David Walter Burns, fired guns after an altercation in a vehicle. The intended target was reportedly Meldon Moore. However, Otis Payne Jr. was fatally shot during the incident. Smith and Burns fled the scene. They were subsequently placed on the wanted list for Payne's murder. The double murders for which Smith received the death penalty were committed on February 22, 2002. This occurred while he was on the run for the Otis Payne Jr. murder. The victims were Janet Moore, aged 41, and Sharath Babu Puluru, aged 22. Janet Moore was a mother. Sharath Babu Puluru was a student and store clerk from India. Moore was shot at her home. Puluru was shot at a different location. And murders were described by prosecutors as occurring during a drug-fueled crime spree. Smith reportedly shot Sharath Babu Puluru to avenge Taron Armstrong. He allegedly believed Puluru had insulted Armstrong. Michael Dewayne Smith was arrested on February 24, 2002. He was initially taken into custody for the murder of Otis Payne Jr. His involvement in the double murder of Janet Moore and Sharath Babu Puluru was revealed later during questioning. Initially, Smith denied any involvement in the double murder. However, he confessed during a police interrogation. He claimed he was under the influence of drugs at the time. In March 2002, Smith was charged with first-degree murder for the deaths of Payne, Moore, and Puluru. He also faced numerous lesser charges. These included burglary, firearm robbery, and arson. His first trial for the Moore and Puluru murders began in June 2003. This trial resulted in a mistrial due to procedural errors. The second trial commenced on August 28, 2003. An acquaintance named Sheena Johnson testified during the second trial. She claimed Smith had confessed the murders to her. Smith reportedly told Johnson he shot Janet Moore because she panicked. Autopsy results were presented in court. Janet Moore was shot once in the chest. Sharath Babu Puluru sustained at least 9 gunshot wounds. A videotaped confession from Smith was also played for the jury. In the video, Smith initially denied the killings but later confessed. The jury found Smith guilty on September 11, 2003. He was convicted of both counts of first-degree murder. He was also found guilty of robbery, burglary, and arson. During the sentencing phase, the jury recommended the death penalty. This recommendation was made on September 20, 2003, for each murder count. The jury also recommended 85 years imprisonment for the lesser charges. Smith was officially sentenced to death on October 14, 2003. The sentence was handed down by Judge Twyla Mason Gray. He received 2 death sentences and an 85-year jail term. Judge Gray stated that the victims were hardworking individuals. She found the death penalty to be an appropriate sentence in this case. Janet Moore's son commented after the sentencing that justice had been served. The trial for Otis Payne Jr.'s murder occurred in March 2004. This was after Smith had already received his death sentences. He was found guilty of second-degree murder in the Payne case. Smith was sentenced to life imprisonment for the Payne murder. This life sentence was ordered to be served consecutively to the death sentences. His accomplice in the Payne shooting, David Burns, was sentenced to 25 years for second-degree murder and 5 years for firearm possession. Following his conviction and sentencing, Michael Dewayne Smith pursued various appeals. A clemency hearing was held on March 6, 2024. At the hearing, Smith maintained his innocence regarding the double murders. He claimed he had no recall of the events due to drug influence. He also argued that his confession was coerced by police. Smith's lawyer argued for clemency based on claims of intellectual disability. Prosecutors opposed clemency. They cited the disputed nature of his intellectual disability claim. They also argued that Smith remained a menace, citing alleged gang contact and possession of weapons while on death row. The Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board denied clemency. The vote was 4-1 against recommending clemency. Families of the victims had asked the board to deny clemency. The Oklahoma Attorney General also opposed clemency. Smith's final appeal to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals was rejected. A final appeal was made to the U.S. Supreme Court on the morning of his execution. This appeal was also denied. The grounds for the Supreme Court appeal included the argument that his confession was not sufficiently corroborated. With all appeals exhausted, the execution proceeded. The execution took place at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAlester. Michael Dewayne Smith was pronounced dead at 10:20 a.m. He declined a last meal. His final statement before the execution was reported as, "Nah, I'm good." Janet Moore's son and niece were reportedly in attendance at the execution. The execution concluded the legal process for the 2002 double murders.